Welcome to the lecture 2, where we get into we start our deep dive process with first looking at how to meet and exceed sales target. And in this, we had seen this the tool that we're going to use is the Deming's wheel or PDCA cycle. As you know, my name is Arun Singhal. I'm your management coach and mentor with 40 years of experience in people development. So what is the purpose of this module? The purpose of this module is to give an in-depth understanding of how can you meet and exceed sales targets that can help you build excellence in sales. And we will learn here the PDCA or the Deming's wheel cycle. PDCA standing for plan, do, check, and act. So let's look at this way. So how to meet and exceed sales targets? What do you think? And we talked about that, and we said the tool that is useful for this is the Deming's wheel or the PDCA cycle. So how do you think PDCA cycle can help us meet and exceed sales target? You see here, we have 4 steps: plan, do, check, and act. And we will follow these 4 steps to learn how can that be used to meet and exceed the sales target. So let's get into the first part of the cycle, which is the planning part. So any thoughts on how can we plan? How can we plan to meet and exceed the sales target using the Deming's wheel? Any thoughts? 5 seconds, 10, 15, 20, 30 seconds. Want to pause the video, come back? Okay. Let me share with you what my understanding is. So the beginning, what you see in your screen is a simple 1-pager sheet, and that is what we are going to use to plan and exceed the sales target. So this is the plan. This is also what is called the annual sales plan. It is also what is called the sales strategy, the very broad term. And it basically consists of 4 things broadly, which is objectives and goals. Then there are strategies. Then there are key projects, and their timing and responsibilities. So our entire process of meeting and exceeding the sales target is based on developing a sound annual sales plan. And where do we begin? We begin with objectives and goals, and we set objectives and goals, and then we go forward to the next steps. So what kind of goals do you think we can set? Any thoughts? What kind of sales goals do you think we can set while being as a sales professional? Okay, there are 4 kind of goals that you can set broadly, and there could be more depending on the company. But broadly, these are the 4, and these revolves around sales revenue. You could set up a sales value in dollars, in rupees, or whatever your currency is. It could be units, number of air conditions, number of recruiters brought in, number of customers. It could be if you are selling a product, what is the volume of product, or it could be number of customers that you have. So this could be any of those, or it could be combination, all 3 in sales revenue. Increasingly, the sales professionals are being held responsible for profitability, and it could come in the form of either the gross profits of the business that you're bringing, or there's a very new concept called customer contribution. That means after from your gross profit, you deduct your expenses, your selling and marketing expenses, and what are you contributing from your set of customers to the company's business or company's profits. That's customer contribution. Or it could be a very relatively tough profitability measure of profit before tax, where you would be responsible for a lot of other things as well. The third important thing is sales is never complete till you get your money. And so it's important that you get your money in time. So you will have agreed payment terms. So you could be setting a goal in terms of number of days the payment should come within. Or it could be in terms of value, so much value outstanding you can afford to have any point of time. And the last thing that I have put in the slide is a relationship. How do you quantify what kind of relationship with your clients? You could be having, good sales, you could be exceeding and meeting targets in the beginning, but you could do at the cost of your relationship. So it's important to keep measuring and set goals for relationship in the form of satisfaction levels. The next step after setting goals, out of those four, all of four, or some of them, is to go and as a part of meeting sales and exceeding sales targets, so develop the strategies, which are the three things here, as you see on your screen. Strategies, key projects, and timing. And we will talk about this in another lecture, so I'm going to skip this here. So at the end of this first plan phase, what you are expected to have, you will know what kind of goals have you set, you would have your strategies, you would have your key action plans or key projects, and you will have a timing and responsibility plan. Who's going to do that? You're going to do, when are you going to do? You have a resource that is going to do that. So that's what you will do. With that, we will get into the second part of the Deming's wheel, which is the do phase. So we have a plan, we have a strategy, which consists of the goals, strategies, action plans, and we start getting into implementation of that. So how do we go about doing the implementation? Any thoughts on that? Want to take a pause? Think for 30 seconds and come back? Okay. So as I see, in terms of doing, apart from actual doing, there are two key things that ensure that your implementation, your doing works out well. A plan, success of a plan depends on the quality and quantity of resources that you have. So if you have right amount of resources, right quality of resources, including yourselves, and then you can implement a plan 99% of the time, 1% give and take here and there. So what is the important thing in implementing the plan is to plan your resources. And your resources, you could think in terms of the 4 M's, again, the concept drawn from operations: men, money, materials, and method. And what you need to do, you have to identify those, your key actions, key project. For each key action, you need to say, what are my resources under the 4M, and then total that up at the total required as you see in one of the rows. Compared to that, to what resources that you have today. Find the gaps in resources proactively before you begin implementation and have a plan to close that gap. If you can do that, your probability of success of implementing the plan completely goes to as close to a 99%. The second most important thing, so that determines the success of your implementation. As you start implementing, you need to start checking and studying the results that you're achieving. And how do you do that? You start creating performance dashboards. And you create your overall company dashboard, in which you identify your key result areas. In this, you see the 2 result areas. You could continue to another 2 more. You say, okay, my one result area is sales. Second is profitability. So I'm going to say for each of my sales, what are my key drivers? And you would have discovered those key projects or key drivers, right? So you will put those key drivers, key projects. So what are the 3 key projects that will determine my results in sale? And you plan, you put your numbers and plan, and you put your projects there under the plan. And then you keep monitoring on certain frequency. Monthly is good, in which you say, what are the actual results for this month? How are my drivers performing? Did I do them well? How are they working compared to last year? And that kind of continuously tells you whether the strategy, the plan that you have built is giving you the results. Same thing you can do for profitability, receivables, and customer satisfaction. So this becomes a kind of a dashboard that you continuously keep checking. So you have developed a plan, you have developed a strategy. You do not know whether that strategy is going to completely deliver all the results. So you go through what is called this initial phase of testing your strategy or your annual plan. You see the results and say, answer the question, is my plan working? And this is the place, this is the template performance dashboard that tells you, yeah, I think this is working. Or this driver, though I'm putting results in, is not resulting in as much as of the contribution to the results of sales. And hence, should I continue doing that or should I not do it? So that's the kind of questions that you start asking. Once you have done the study and check, you have a very good idea. What are your strategies that are working? What are your projects that are working? What kind of results that are happening there? So what you do there is, as you see in your screen, you go back and look at your annual sales plan. You look at your key projects and say, which of these key projects are working for me, and which of them I should continue to spend my resources in terms of men, money, materials, and methods. Which ones are actually, I thought they were great, they will contribute to getting me the sales or contribute to getting profits or reducing my receivables, but they're not working. So should I continue to stop them? Should I stop that instead of continuing that? Like this you ask, and also there's one thing that you don't see here. Are there any new things that I need to start doing? And also you question some of your strategies. And this normally happens in first 3 months of the year. So you make your plan, you see for a couple of months, you execute. If you are starting completely de novo, you're starting fresh. So you will develop that strategy plan, your annual sales plan, test it out in the manner that we talked about, see the results for 3 months, and come back and answer this question and say, what do I need to continue? What do I need to stop? And what is the new thing and modify your annual sales plan and keep going. And there's no end to this process. You can keep doing every quarter. And this is a wonderful process which we used to do in J&J and reaped huge benefits in that. So what did we learn in this module? As we see on your screen, we learned how to use Deming's wheel or PDA cycle to meet and exceed sales target. We looked at the 4 steps. We also looked at part of the planning is to prepare their annual plan consisting of goals, strategy, key action, and responsibility. While we have not gone into how to prepare that will be the next lecture that we will spend time in great detail. We also looked at what kind of goals could you have. It could be goals on sales revenue, profitability, receivables, and customer satisfaction, anything else that your company wants you to look at. Then we saw that one important part of doing was to plan resources and implement key action plan in the do step. And in the third step of check, we need to measure the results for each of the key actions and check whether that is contributing towards the result. There's no point continuing to work on a strategy or a project if it is not making a difference as much as you wanted it to any of the results that we had. And once we have checked that stage, in the last stage of act, we go back and decide the key actions, the strategy that you should continue, and what steps should we stop, and if any new things are required. So that is how we learned how to use the Deming's wheel in developing a strategy and a plan that can confidently deliver you and meet and exceed your sales targets. So what do we do in the next module? We skipped in this. I told you that we will develop the strategy, and we did not talk about how do we develop that annual sales plan that you see on your screen. So the next module, we will start going into developing how do we develop right objectives, how do we develop strategies, key projects, and timing and responsibility. How do we assign timing and responsibility? And this is a fairly big amount of work. So we have broken it up into 2 parts, and we will start with the first part first in terms of how do we set the right goals, and then we will go along and set the strategies in the lecture after that. So thank you so much for watching this session on how to meet and exceed sales target. I hope you are continuing to enjoy and learn how can we build excellence in sales, and how you can become an excellent sales professional. So look forward to seeing you again in the next lecture, where we will talk about how to set the right goals.